The recognition that I've received in respect of leadership is really around social development. And for me, there is a pivotal moment that stands out, and that really was at the beginning of the journey when we were, certainly I was evaluating this so-called problem of children not having classroom desks to work at when they attended school. And I decided to do this research as a hobby, and to because I couldn't believe that this problem existed. After 6 months, it hit me like a truck, really, that it was commonplace, not the exception. And it was at that particular point. It was at that particular point that I made a conscious decision to really withdraw from everything else that I was doing in terms of other businesses that I was involved in, and actually take responsibility for this problem in my country, because it was clear to me that nobody was actually dealing with this issue. And the obvious link in my mind between children being able to write properly and literacy is, it's an obvious link, but nobody was addressing it. And I was so moved by what I saw that for me it was an easy decision to make, but it was also a tough one from the point of view that I had to sacrifice a lot to take up that challenge. And but by having done that, it really has created a tremendous amount of opportunity for me in terms of people I've engaged with, etc. And also, as you say, leadership. There's in this particular area of life, I do actually carry good recognition in terms of the work we do. So that really was my aha moment, if you like. But I practice my listening because I'm not a very good listener, and most of many of my failures have been as a result of not listening properly. So I certainly make a conscious effort in terms of my own growth to try and maintain a quality group of trusted advisors, if you will, and in challenging times to engage them and listen to what they have to say. I suppose it depends what what's at stake. Okay, we're not in terms of trial and error in our organisation. We're not putting the organisation at stake necessarily. Although in the last 3 years we have reorganised, restructured, and reinvented ourselves, and that certainly was all or nothing. Okay, but from our perspective, we wanted to move from being a one product, one service organization to a multi-dimensional product and service offering solution for people we engage with. So that was quite high stakes involvement. I think, though, from my point of view, I don't view failure as a negative. We always try and take positive lessons from it, whatever they may be, and apply them in our organisation, such as to bring the positives into our organisational DNA, such that we can grow from that and then not make the same mistakes again. We're going to launch our work in Kenya, and I went to visit it was a new education minister who had come into office. And I went to visit him with a very high-placed, well-known Kenyan person. And Kenya, just as a matter of interest, has 5 million children who go to school without the benefit of a classroom desk. So obviously, a community desk, Tudu desk, would have been an ideal solution and help Kenyan children as well. And the minister turned around in the meeting and said, "It's fantastic that you've come. We absolutely need your help. We should get going as quickly as possible." So we said, "Well, thank you, Minister. That's very gracious of you, and we appreciate the opportunity to work in your country," and so on and so forth. And he said, "Well, look, there's just one caveat before you go, and that is that I will need 20% of your business." And the chap that I'm with, as I say, is a very highly respected a Kenyan man. He's kind of he's an East African equivalent of Madiba, basically. He's known for being incorruptible and so on. I mean, he almost fell out of his chair. And so thought I'd heard incorrectly. So I looked at him and I looked back at the gentleman across the table. I said, sorry, could you just repeat that? Just because I may have got the accent wrong perhaps, or I didn't hear properly or whatever. And he said, yeah, no, you can get going immediately, but you will need to make sure that I get 20% of the proceeds. So I said to him, you do understand the kind of work we do, of course. And he said, no, absolutely, but notwithstanding, these are the conditions. It was just the difficulty for us is that it's just not an operating principle that we follow, especially given that Archbishop Tutu is our patron. So there is an unspoken rule in terms of conduct and how we must conduct ourselves. And that's just out of respect for our patron. And the option is, do we get involved and do we help lots of kids, clearly, but play this game, or do we say thank you but no thank you? And that was the dilemma. And all I can say to you is, to this day, we haven't yet worked in Kenya. I think with the quality of ALA and the caliber of young folks you guys are getting in here, for me, they really are the leadership crop of the future. And our continent has a very unique way of seducing us, to lulling us into kind of accepting things perhaps that we wouldn't accept when we were younger, etc. So what I'd like to encourage them to do is to stick to their principles and honor those things themselves. It's really important. Africa needs leaders that are principled moving forward. But I would also ask that they also be advocates for social justice. We live in a world that is, at the best of times, anywhere where you are, not just Africa, is grossly unfair, and it's totally out of balance. And I think what's great for me about engaging with young people is they have a level of consciousness that older folks don't have, and every generation seems to get more conscious of what the issues are. So I would just say, appeal to them to be mindful of that very important social justice factor moving as they get older and as they fulfill more and more senior positions of responsibility. And if they can do that, I think we're in good hands.